Hey kids, it is March 22nd, I believe, and I am coming to start my hive over yesterday. I was super lucky and I was able to trap a swarm. So under this lid I've got a swarm of bees that I'm sure are absolutely thrilled to get out of that box, especially now that it's nice and sunny. Real quick, I'm going to set the phone down, put my glove on. Excuse me, apologize. We're gonna transfer the bees from the nuke box and into the hive today. And hey, girls. Hey, so they're nice and still clustered right on there. The handful that were still outside. And then let's open this puppy up. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna have to set this down. Apparently, I had them in a cluster right here on the bottom. Oh, they're already building comb. They're trying to, they're ready to be home. Good, I stopped them before they got too far. Alright, I'm sorry, I know this is a terrible video. I just couldn't hold this and that at the same time. Alright. So there was just a huge cluster of them on top of that lid, and they were already festooning and trying to make some comb on the top of this. And I don't want them to do that. So I took that ball and just dumped it in here. So I mean, that's a lion's share of the bees. Well, I say lion's share, there's still a bajillion over here. So what I have in here is comb. On 3 frames from the previous hive that's clean, and then I have 3 other frames that are also clean, but one of them, oh, I didn't mean to put that in there, but one of them had a little tiny piece of comb on there that they may repurpose or utilize. Looks like one of the bees just said nope. Well, if it's not attached to something, I may want to take that out because I don't want them to build off of that. So we'll take care of that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is try to take this hive feeder that we have in here. There, you guys. Picking up the lid here. Shake them off into there. Making sure the queen's not in here. I don't see her. So I'm just going to lean this over here, which will encourage them to go into the new box. Trying to figure out which one of these is noisier. feel like it's the box. I think the queen dropped in. One of the nice tricks about knowing if you got the queen or not is a swarm with or a hive with a queen in it will, for the most part, be docile and quiet. If you don't have a queen, it'll be a little bit more like this. I don't know if you can hear the difference. So I am going to attempt to get this feeder out of the way. You guys are super chill. I'm going to set this, see if I can set this up so that I can have it kind of watching while I'm doing it. All right. Ladies. God, they are just primed and ready for a new hive. They're super gentle. Nobody's freaking out or anything. Problem is I put this hive feeder in with them. And so they're all over this sugar water. Can I, excuse me? I really don't want to hurt any of these. Certainly don't want there to be a queen stuck on here anywhere. Take this and I'm going to take the actual feeder itself out. Ooh, hey, careful, careful. And I'm just going to replace that. And double check to make sure there's no queen sitting on here or anything. Okay. There's a bunch of bees on this feeder, and I'm trying to set the feeder back down without hurting anybody. Getting any of the bees trapped or anything. I think I got it. There we go. I have a cluster of them on my finger. I'm just going to gently set them right. They're not stinging. They're not freaking out. They're just clustered. There you go. There you go. Alright. So I got those off. Now that the sugar water's out of there, I should be able to just pick this whole box up and dump it right on the top of the other one. And the vast majority of these bees will fall out and into the box, and they will be in their new home. Let me do that real quick. I don't know which box the queen is in, but after this, she should be in the regular one. I'm just looking in here to see if I spot the queen. So when they fly up like this, they're not mad, they're not, attacking. They're super docile. They're looking basically for home. Which I'll pick the camera up again. Hopefully I didn't have a terrible angle for that. But home is now that box. And I have 2 more frames that I'll fill in that gap with here in a minute. But you can see I already had some drawn comb that I had inside of these frames already. And they are all over these frames now, specifically these 3, which already have drawn comb, all 3 of them. And they are going to adapt to their new environment. They're gonna, I think you can see they're flying around. If I can get a decent angle here. They're doing these big circular flights, what's called orientation flights. And what they're doing is they're looking for kind of north, south, east, west, angle of the sun, things like that to get direction. And if I can, this is good. So this tree, and one of the reasons I like this spot for the bees, this tree is called a sweetleaf tree. And if you look, you'll see all these little buds that are about to open up here. Oh, there's one really close. And as soon as it does, these bees are going to have a ridiculous supply of nectar and pollen. But you can even see a handful of these. Here's one maybe. That's already starting to bloom. So they have an immediate source. There's a good one. They have an immediate source, and the bees already found it. Love it. So yeah, some of these that have already started blooming are a really great immediate source of nectar and honey and pollen for the bees. And they're all over this tree already. One of the cool things was when we found them yesterday, even though they were in swarm mode, they were clustered on the tree and swarmed. They had, some of them already had pollen pockets on their little pouches. They were ready to go. So the handful of bees that are still in here are kind of clinging to the sides in their own little clusters. They're also migrating over. They'll go wherever the queen is, which I want to make sure that the queen is in here. Obviously I didn't see her when I just dumped them. But we're hoping that she's going to transition over. Clean out my old seat here. I'll sit down. Alright. See, I have a few little friends. They're just smelling me out. So I'm your new beekeeper, buddy. But yeah, so that's what's left, and the vast majority. Cool thing is you can already see, I think you can see it, but they're already, like within minutes, they're already festooning, which is when they link arms. You gotta kind of look under that frame if you can see the one. It's the second frame from the end. They are linking arms, and they're gonna start making new comb on these frames. And what they do is they link arms, they kind of measure it out, and then they have these fat glands that produce the wax, and they take that and start producing wax immediately. You can also see some of these ones on the top that are fanning their wings, like they're propped up over here specifically, propped up doing like almost a handstand and fanning their wings. So they are airing out the pheromone for the queen, and letting all the neighboring, like the bees that are flying around right now, know that home is over here inside of this box, which is really awesome. And the rest of these guys are doing orientation flights. They're just doing big circles around me, figuring out where they are and where they want to be. I'll clean some of these jars out. They've been out here since the fall of last year. Usually I keep some either empty ones, like so if I need to use it for catching Burkholm or anything like that, or I'll keep like that one, the big cylinder. I have corks, and I'll keep it full of fresh water with some corks so that they have good access to clean water. We also have a lake that's maybe 40-50 feet from here that they can use. And sometimes bees are attracted to salt water, and we have a saltwater pool. But either way, so the vast majority of these guys are taking off and migrating over to the new hive. As soon as this is, I'm going to give them probably 20 minutes or so. I'm not going to record all of that, but they're going to migrate over. You should see a handful of these, even the ones that are kind of crawling to the top. They're smelling the scent of Mama Queen, and they'll just take flight and head over. But I cannot tell you how lucky I was to find this swarm. It was the coolest thing. My next door neighbor texted me and said, "Hey, I just saw a huge cloud of bees. Like the sky got darker, and it just went over the lake." And so we walked around the lake and found them just sitting on a tree in a cluster, in a ball. I took them, put them in a nuke box that I had, and yeah, here we are. Next day. I'm going to do one more box shake just to get them out. I like these bees. They are fastidious. I had one that was like like when I first started this video, there was a little bit of bee poop on the, sorry, I'm trying to catch a decent angle with this camera, on the front board. And even while we've been talking, they've already cleaned the board. Pretty cool. I'm using the lid as a camera prop. So I don't have a normal camera setup. So unfortunately this will have to do for right now. Alright. They seem to be doing really, really well. I'm just going to take these 2 frames, go ahead and put them in, and box it up. They're good. You know what, before I get too far ahead of myself, I am going to go ahead and get that little piece of bird comb that I left, because I don't want them to turn that into actual comb. I'll build off of that anyway. Do it, guys. Not worth. Not worth. I had 2 of them try to sting me through my glove. Let's take this last frame, pop her in there. So basically I have 3 full frames that are drawn comb, and the rest of these are empty. And obviously you can see where the bees are congregating. It's on the drawn comb, because that's easy. It's already there. It's already drawn. They can basically go through and sort it. If there was any pollen or nectar from before, they can reclaim that. If there's things they need to clean up or fix, they can do that. And then as soon as that's all prepared, the queen can immediately start laying eggs, which is really what they want. Because otherwise, they have all these empty frames, which are also great. But the empty frames have to be drawn out with wax, and until they do, the queen can't lay any eggs. So if they can use that existing comb to get her where she can start laying eggs, then the hive can immediately start growing. And within a week or two, we'll start seeing new baby bees. But you can see in the box here, there's still a handful left, and they're still crawling over. And I'm just going to let them. But anyway, so once this is all done, and they've settled down, then I'm going to put the cover and the lid on top of this hive and box them up, and they're going to be happy little gals for the next probably 2 weeks. I'll just let them be, and then I'll do a check-in in 2 weeks and see how things are going and make sure they're doing well and have grown and built out comb and all that fun stuff. And I will have another video for that. So now that we're back in bee season, you should be prepared, to see some more regular content from me again on the YouTubes. And I do still have my flow hive. I really enjoyed that last year. It was great, so I'm going to do that again for the top box this year. And it is very, very likely that I'm also going to get a second hive in May, and I'm going to do the flow hive 2, and I'll have them side by side. So the original flow hive 1 in this box, and I'll have the flow hive 2 right next to it. And so with that, thank you guys for spending about a half hour with me and getting all this stuff set up. Hopefully it was interesting. I apologize again for the camera angles. One of these days I'm going to get an actual camera and tripod and all that fun stuff. But outside of that, this was a really fun morning project. It's still only like 10:20 or 10:30. I think it's technically the first day of spring. Last night was the vernal equinox. So these guys just knew, they were in tune with the season, that it was time to swarm and time to split. But they have a new home with us. So with that, have a blessed day.